Thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah.
Okay, welcome. It's fantastic to see this turnout for the first annual Michael M. Abbott Award Lecture Series. We're sorry that Mike and Mary aren't here to attend, but this is being videotaped. And it's nice that their son Mark is here for the first award lecture. What I'm going to start off doing, first of all, there's a couple of reasons for having such an award lecture. The obvious one is to honor Professor Abbott for all of his contributions, both to the literature and then everything that he's done for us on campus. And it's also to honor an outstanding educator in the field of chemical engineering. What I'd like to do for the first few moments is just kind of give an overview of what Mike Abbott has meant to us at Rensselaer, give you a little bit of background, and Ravi will introduce Professor Jeff Tester from MIT, who's our first honoree. So being into process dynamics, I like to always go back to the initial conditions. And so Professor Abbott was born in Niagara Falls in 1938. And I kind of envision him, this is kind of the classic Abbott haircut, so that's why I chose this Dutch boy symbol here. But you can picture him as a young man kind of taking a look at Niagara Falls and thinking about the conversion of potential into kinetic energy and such. And so maybe that was his first real foray into thermodynamics. Okay. So it turns out 1956 was a very momentous year for RPI. That was the year that Mike decided to come to RPI and get his BS. By the way, I've probably broken all sorts of laws by doing this. This is actually a transcript from Professor Abbott from his first semester here in 1956. But I should note that 1956 is also when Professor Van Ness entered. So it's nice it's been this 50 years. And kind of all this flows together, Abbott, Van Ness, RPI. I think all three are very intimately twined. Now, for the students in the audience, you might want to guess what Professor Abbott scored in his first thermodynamics course. Again, I'm sure this is highly illegal. And I've never done anything illegal in my life, but okay. Any event. Now, what I like about this, Professor Abbott, whenever a student comes to him and they talk about their struggles in their courses, he immediately says, wait a minute, I got a C in my first thermodynamics course. So he's kind of giving them a couple of take-home messages. He's saying, first of all, this material is very difficult, and if you work hard, you can still become a leading expert in the topic. Okay. By the way, he was a fantastic student. He became a member of Tau Beta Pi and was the advisor of Tau Beta Pi Honor Society for many years on campus. Okay. So after getting his BS, this is kind of something for the U.S. students that don't realize that in the good old days, even in my time, you actually used to have a foreign language. And so here it just shows that French was Mike's foreign language as he went for the PhD. Just some details. I actually don't, my wife's going to accuse me of speaking like an engineer when I say stuff like this. During his graduate school days is when he married Mike Abbott, so this was forming a lifelong thermodynamically stable covalent bond, if you will. Here I went actually to the library website, so if you want to look at Professor Abbott's dissertation, you can actually pull it out of the library. Okay, after completing his PhD in 1965, he spent 4 years at Esso, the forerunner of Exxon and ExxonMobil, and then he returned to RPI first as a research professor and then as associate and full professor. And basically what we're honoring him for are his contributions in all these different areas. scholarship through journal articles, books, and book chapters, handbooks, and such. His tremendous teaching, both in chemical engineering courses as well as general core engineering courses, at the undergraduate level, at the graduate level, curriculum development. He's done a fantastic job in all of those areas. And also service, which a lot of people tend to kind of shove to the side, but Mike has always done a fantastic job of advising students, mentoring faculty, and serving as associate head, and did a fantastic job in our department with that responsibility. Okay, these are some of the things that we know him for in terms of the publications, the latest editions of Smith, Van Ness, and Abbott, the various editions of Sham's Outlines series, and Perry's Handbook. But often students will come to Professor Abbott and say, thermodynamics is like a foreign language to me. It's like all Greek to me. So Professor Abbott, I don't know if he ever gave this response, but he could indeed say, no, this is what Greek is. Now I can picture at the same time somebody over in Greece saying, this is all English to me. I just don't really get it. So, I've been very fortunate to have taught process design with Professor Abbott a number of times. Clearly, in comparison, when students do kind of this relative grading process on instructors, I don't suffer very well, or I don't do very well. I suffer somewhat. But there's just some examples. And process design is clearly the most difficult course in our curriculum. But here's just a sampling of things that we see. The best professor I've ever had in this department. I had Professor Abbott for 3 years now. A great professor. Abbott rocks. Okay, so now those of us that have been fortunate enough to serve as department head and see these course surveys, there's actually even a deeper one that we see very often in terms of the evaluation of Professor Abbott. So very often we see, and I think maybe this is done before the old Clapton is God type of thing that we used to see in the 60s. So anyway. Okay, so a long list of honors and awards related some to technical papers published, others related to teaching at RPI, and I think actually I didn't even cover the entire list of awards here. This is just kind of some snapshots over time, kind of the late 70s, early 80s. This, I feel like I have to present it anytime I present something at a departmental function. So now you get to see this twice a year rather than just once a year with the Van Ness Award lectures and the inauguration. And this was a 2002 set of faculty photos at a retreat, and then a fairly recent graduating class at the undergraduate level. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to turn the show over to Ravi, who's going to give the introduction of Professor Tester. I know there's many more kind of ties with Professor Abbott and RPI, but one that's clear is thermodynamics and its applications, the third edition by Tester and Modell.